Well, Emily Brewer, welcome to Heart of the City.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. You are the founder and owner of Derm Center, which is my personal dermatology practice I go to.
Love that.
Love. I actually do want to start with a little anecdote. I'm sure you heard.
Yes.
I came in, let's see, I think it's been a month now. I came in for just a dermatology appointment and saw one of your amazing practitioners at the practice, and I was coming in for a dermatitis skin issue happened to mention this place on my neck, and turns out it's pre-melanoma. So it just was I have been one to get routine skin checks, but probably not religiously, not every year like I should. I've had to I've followed different dermatologists who have moved away or whatever. So it's you take a couple years off, if you will. But I was so glad to re-engage with you guys because, I was oh, okay, I'm probably due for a skin check. I had a routine skin check, I think 6 months ago with you all. Nothing. And then it was I happened to mention this weird spot I had been noticing, and it was in such an obscure place, behind my ear. I only was seeing it at certain angles when my hair would be up, with walking out of the bathroom in the mirror or something. So I wasn't even seeing it every day, so I wasn't even thinking about it that often.
Yeah.
And I just really left that day with Autumn, the dermatologist I see, and it was just man, I literally was I'm calling every friend. I'm everyone go get your skin checked, because it's just something I think we don't talk about enough in the non-dermatology world. We go get our routine physicals, and now in the world of peptides and all this other wellness, everyone's running to that, but it's hey, there are still basic appointments and needs that we need to be tending to that are life and death.
I love that we are starting with this too, because in dermatology, it gets sometimes I think overshadowed, the skin cancer part, the chronic disease states that we see and treat. And I think a lot of patients want to talk about the fun stuff, which, same.
Of course.
But they want to talk about the skincare, and they want to talk about the facials and all the fun things that we do in derm. But it is a very real thing that we see and that we diagnose and that we treat and manage with patients when it comes to cancer, or when it comes to chronic diseases, or just the education of why it is important to get those annual skin checks.
Be proactive.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So what would have, from, of course, your deep knowledge of what's going on with me, if I, say, would have not had her check that wouldn't have been flagged? Something that is, it's called a melanoma in situ, right? Which is stage 0 cancer, basically.
Right. So it is considered a skin cancer. It's considered a melanoma, but at its most infant state. It's very, very superficial when it's in situ, meaning it's just sitting on the surface of the skin. That is very important in the process of understanding how to manage it. Is it something that needs to be managed with an excision and then routine skin checks? Is it something that needs to be managed by, checking lymph nodes and doing imaging and adjuvant therapy? That's how we determine what process that we need to take when we see patients with melanoma. And when we see in situ, we know that that is something that, it is serious. And in time, if left untreated, very likely it would have continued to progress to something much more serious.
Wow.
And at that point, melanoma is the most deadly form of skin cancer that there is. So time is absolutely of the essence with it.
That is just so wild.
It is. And I tell my patients too, when you've had a melanoma especially, prepare to have so many skin checks for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You really need every 3-month skin checks for an extended duration. And I like to tell my patients, I want to know your moles better than I know my own.
Wow.
And I truly do mean that. And there are several patients that I do see that I can honestly say when they come in for their skin checks, I really can look at their moles and think, okay, I don't remember that being there last time, or I remember this looking different. That's the importance of those routine skin checks too.
You must have such a photographic memory because you probably see so many moles in a day. Oh my gosh.
I see a lot in a day, I'll say that.
But wow, what a special and rather intimate relationship you have with your your patients. And it's, finding a dermatologist that you really trust and that you do feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because it's a thorough skin check. It's moles and dangerous skin cancers can live anywhere.
They can.
It was interesting. Autumn was did you ever spend extended times in tanning bed? She was like, this looks kind of like a classic tanning bed. No, of course, a handful of times when I was a teenager or whatever. But So it's just like, it's probably just from driving in the car.
Could be, but what's interesting is one visit to the tanning bed raises your risk of skin cancer by 70%.
70?
One. And that goes up the younger you are when you go to the tanning bed.
Wait, it probably was that then.
It could have been. However, I mean, with melanoma, it's multifaceted. It can be UV induced.
Okay.
It can be genetics that you're more just predisposed to getting it.
Interesting.
So there are a lot of different variables when it comes to melanoma. With basal cell and with squamous cell carcinomas, those we do see typically are induced by UV exposure. So in Tennessee, because it is so warm and we're outside a lot here, we do see a lot of basal cell and squamous cell. But melanoma, again, is kind of a unique cancer because it can be UV triggered. It can be just, you were predestined to have it just genetically.
So from, like, for instance, like just the time lapse, is it something that if I did get it in a tanning bed years and years ago, that it shows up this, like, is it something that then could show up this later in life? Because I definitely don't think it was there 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so it can
absolutely do that.
Weird.
Yes.
And, when I went and saw the specialist that's going to do the larger excision that you all referred me to, he was like, there is a chance when we go in for that next round of excision that there has been a break in the barrier. It's like the little excision you all took, luckily, is in situ. But like, you don't know, because it still is, we need to go clear those borders. It's like there still could be more that has infiltrated that barrier. So it really is, not to be fear mongering, but it's this really scary thing. It's a really real thing. And to hear that, for something that you make a decision about in your youth could still show up years and years later.
In fact, here's a fun fact. Most of the sun damage that you experience as an adult happened before you were 17 years old. Think about that.
I had no idea.
I was sunburned all the time.
All the time.
I mean, I
never wore the sun hat. Never really kept up with the sunscreen. What?
Yes.
I mean, it was so in vogue to lay out in the sun. So, that's what you did as a teenager, like when I was young.
My job when I was in college, and I hate to admit this, but it's just the truth. I worked at a tanning bed when I was in college.
Wow, Emily.
And I didn't even get paid money. I got paid
in
tanning. So, that's why I tell patients, I understand. I understand wanting to go. Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I also recognize now how horrible it is and how dangerous it is. And I can honestly say, I mean, my lifestyle now involves sunscreen and sun protection, and I do my skin checks routinely. And, I would love to go back and make that decision again.
Yeah.
But,
I'm sure.
The reality is those things are harmful. I can't believe tanning beds are even still a thing.
Oh, that's awful.
I wish they weren't. But until they're not, available for us to use any longer, knowing what the dangers are and knowing what the risks look like. But also melanoma in particular is something that we are seeing in such young populations now. When I was in school, it was taught to us that melanoma was something that, you would see in 50, 60 plus. And that's just not the case.
Wow.
I mean, clearly,
And
that's something that the younger populations are experiencing.
That's so true.
The tanning bed, I have to feel like, is a part of that. Yeah.
Wow. That is, and I mean, even into my young adulthood, I started hearing rumblings like, the tanning bed's bad for you, don't go. And it's just like, you don't think about how serious it is, until you really either experience it yourself or you really are close with someone who really knows that data. I had no idea, by 70%. I mean, so I think it's just one of those things that in the world, the vanity can sometimes overtake the research and the seriousness of a situation. And it's like, oh, I just want to feel tan. And
you're dealing with a young population who, at 17, 18, I certainly wasn't thinking about my skin in my 40s.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's so true.
So I think I use it really as an important education tool with my young patients.
Wow.
To tell them, I understand. I get why you want the tan. I get that it's, enjoyable to go.
Yeah.
But recognize what your risk is and what you're sacrificing with it.
Right. And there are other ways. Spray tans.
Spray tans are so much better now. Oh my
so
gosh.
much better. There's a lot of like natural ones and whatever. Yeah.
They look so much better.
Exactly.
Spray tan, yes.
Yes. Spray tans, everyone. Okay. So let's talk about younger patients. What is your, tell me in an ideal world, especially for the parents out there, when are we getting our kids into your office? When do you say is an ideal time to start skin checks, start this process with you, and start really this education?
If you have a mole, you need a skin check.
Wow.
If you were born with a mole, you need a skin check. So to answer your question specifically, everybody needs skin checks.
Okay.
If you were, we see infants that come in that were born with skin lesions, and with them, I like to monitor them once a year. So if you have moles, you need your skin checked.
I'm going home to review
Check
my
your children.
boys. Yes. Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you kind of one of those, like, I can imagine in your world, do you just, I think about a couple years ago, there was like a reality TV show where someone caught, like someone who watched the show, like messaged in and was like, hey, I think you have this certain thing going on with you because I've noticed. Do you like constantly do that? Like, do you try like almost not to like analyze people's skin when you like talk to them or meet them? Like, I bet it's hard, right?
I don't do it as much now, but at one time, I think in my career, it was so in the front of my mind.
I'm sure.
Now, certainly, if I'm somewhere and I see something on someone and it's just an immediate like, oh my gosh,
Really
like that's
alarming.
Yeah, then I would almost have an obligation to have to say something, but
okay.
I don't typically. So when I'm talking to someone in my mind, I'm not calculating, okay, they would need 10 units of Botox, 20 units of
Yeah,
So
but if
no,
it
I
were
don't
like
do
a
that.
really scary like lesion or something
Yes.
or a mole that you just felt really concerned
Yes.
about, I'd probably would be the same. I'd probably be like, I'm really sorry, but I feel like I have to say this.
Literally, yes.
Yeah.
It's like there's an obligation to have to speak up sometimes.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, that's so wild.
But if I'm in the line at the grocery store, I'm not looking at someone's melasma.
No,
Or, you know.
yeah, or especially something that's just like more aesthetic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although
Oh
I
my
will
gosh.
say, sometimes, with acne, when I've seen people out and they
my
just, have
gosh.
really, inflamed acne, like my heart hurts because there are so many, especially for young patients. I mean, there's so many ways to get that under control and just getting into the office and having that conversation and working toward getting them better because it impacts their self-esteem so much.
So much. As a girl who battled acne in her young days, I mean, there really is nothing that is a blow to your confidence more than bad skin. It's just so horrific.
It's a billboard. Everyone sees it. And you can't hide your face.
No, it's awful. Okay, so let's talk about acne a little bit. I feel like, my mom was fairly proactive with us and, wanted us to have clear skin and, we would go to the dermatologist but I mean, I think I was put on, what was that like 1, 2, 3 step? What was that back in the day?
Proactive.
Proactive.
Yes.
I was on
I think
Proactive.
everyone used
I think
Proactive.
literally everyone
Yeah.
was on Proactive. And it did nothing,
Yeah.
A. And B, I think I was treated like every other patient with acne that just had like oily skin acne.
Yeah.
So they were just trying to dry my face out constantly. Well, now I'm very aware of how naturally dry my skin is. And I think that was just perpetuating my acne issue because I had it was just like stripping my face so bad. It was almost like dry-based acne. Is that a thing?
There's such a fine line with drying the skin out. And when you have acne, typically it is from an overproducing sebaceous gland. So too much oil oftentimes leads to the acne. So pretty much all of the treatments are aimed at slowing down that oil production and managing it in a controlled way so that you are producing oil because your skin barrier needs the oil.
Yes.
So you want to be producing the oil, but you want to do it in a way where you're not stripping the skin, you're not having too much oil. So acne treatment, sometimes the challenge is finding where is that sweet spot?
Yes.
Where is that spot of dry but not too dry, oily but not too oily?
Yes.
So acne treatment is a very patient-specific treatment. What works for one is probably not going to work for the next. That's why something like Proactive is,
a one-size-fits-all.
it is, and there's no such thing.
No.
However, I will say what Proactive did that I think is very positive is it really set the stage for this concept of skincare for acne specifically.
That's true.
Is usually a multi-step process.
That's a good point, Emily.
Very few things when it comes to acne treatment come in the form of, here's a wash, that's going to clear your acne.
No.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
It's usually do this cream in the morning, do this cream at night. You have to moisturize, you have to cleanse. It's a multi-step process with acne treatment. So I think Proactive did a great job of putting that thought into everyone's head. But the one-size-fits-all acne treatment's just not, it's not great.
Okay, so I was thinking of something with acne. Oh, okay. So is acne something that we can be proactive about? Like if people are coming to see you, if I start bringing my kids, obviously now I'm going to go home and check their moles, but as they get into like middle school, I feel like I didn't really go start seeing someone till it was already an issue.
Yeah.
So is it something you can kind of start putting kids on a program earlier so it maybe prevents a little bit or like helps navigate? How does that work?
I don't know that I would say there's a way to prevent it, but you can certainly intervene early.
Yeah.
Number one. But number two, I think getting kids into just a good routine of skincare
Yes.
is really the most preventative way, I guess, to
Yes,
treat acne.
that's true.
And I know from having, kids, teens, it is such a struggle sometimes to get them to just get in the shower and brush your teeth every day. You know what I
Literally.
mean?
So then trying to add on a skincare routine. So it's like the earlier you do start, the more normal it's going to feel. That's
so
true.
understanding the importance of wash your face twice a day. Put on a sunscreen every morning.
Yeah.
Moisturize your skin before you go to bed. I think
Yes.
that foundation, it's gold.
Yeah.
So it's a great place to start with your kids. Moisturizing, cleansing the face twice a day, sunscreen every morning.
Okay. That's so helpful.
Yes. But then intervening as soon as acne, if it does start up, the sooner you can get on treatment, the better.
Yeah. I mean, because it is really hormonal a lot of times.
A lot of times,
too.
it very much, yes.
Yeah.
There are still treatments for, even though, the hormones are happening and I mean, they need to happen, but there are things that we do to help manage the acne and help to get their confidence up.
Yeah. Is Accutane still a thing?
It really is. And man, I have to tell you, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it for my patients that come in. There's really 3 patient types with Accutane. There's the patient that comes in with just, really extensive acne that really nothing else I know from our book of options, nothing's going to treat it. So there's that patient. There's the patient that comes in that has tried pretty much everything. So all the antibiotics, all the topicals, the cleansers, and it might work while they're doing it, but then as soon as they stop, they're right back.
Oh, no.
So that's a great candidate. Or the patient that comes in, even if their acne is not that bad, but if they're scarring.
Ooh.
Those 3 patients are excellent
Accutane
candidates for
helps
Accutane.
scarring?
It doesn't help the scarring, but it turns the acne off quickly so that the scarring will stop. You can work on the scarring after the fact, but it stops it. It's like the emergency brake.
Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yep. So Accutane, there's so much misinformation about Accutane.
Okay, talk to me about that.
Yes,
because
I
I feel
think-
like I lived in the world of misinformation, and then I did it anyway. Honestly, right
I did
before my
too.
wedding, I was like, honestly, I need my skin to clear up.
You need the emergency brake.
I did. I
Yes.
was just like, this is nuts. I'm 20. I mean, I was like 23 when I got married, so I was still very young.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay,
I was
so-
24
Yeah.
when I got married and when I took Accutane.
So, okay, the misinformation. I remember it was like, obviously, okay, don't be pregnant, those
For sure.
sort of things. But there was just even so much more, like your organs and then this. Like, I'm like, I don't know. It just felt like so scare tactic-y.
Yes. And honestly, I don't get it because, I mean, while yes, we know that there are risks associated with it, there are risks associated with everything.
Everything.
So I
every
think-
medication, especially.
Even Tylenol.
Yeah.
I mean, so making sure that you understand these are potential side effects. These are not side effects that everyone experiences. So when patients are taking it, we see you monthly. So we're monitoring these side
Yes.
effects, if there are any.
Yes.
And, we go over what to expect. I mean, dry skin, your lips.
Oh, yeah,
It's like a
that part.
reptile.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're very dry. So if you're managing those side effects that we know to expect, the other side effects that patients get very nervous about, like what you said, the organs and all the things that you see online
Yes.
that's all negative. Suicide is linked to Accutane.
Right.
Have I ever seen that? No, thank God. But, it is something that I talk to my patients. If you experience depression while you're taking this medication, if you're noticing behavioral changes in your child while they're on the medication,
Yes.
that's something to discuss, which they,
Yes.
over the past few years, have pretty much gone back and said, Accutane doesn't really cause this.
Thank goodness.
I know, for
Yeah.
sure, because it is such a great drug for the patients that need it.
Yeah.
Do I prescribe it for everybody that walks through the door with acne? For sure, I don't.
No.
But, for those who are good candidates, like what we talked about,
Right.
it is a great, very life-changing drug for them.
Man,
Yeah.
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have 2 girls.
I do.
2 daughters.
Yes.
And I feel like the world of just skincare and products, and I mean, especially for young girls, wow. Like,
Right.
I think the whole, skincare has always been, a hot topic. I think, that has been a booming industry for years and years and years. The
$1 billion industry.
Yeah. But I do feel like it's started to really target younger people in the last 5-10 years. They've really shifted the demographic of who they're trying to hit. And I mean, every time I go in like Sephora or Ulta or it is just crawling with young people. I mean,
Yes.
it's nuts. Not only am I like, how are you affording this? Like, I think they must just be spending all their allowance at Sephora.
Parents' money.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, okay, so let's talk through some of that. Like, what is really necessary I love that you said wash twice a day.
Yep.
Sunscreen and moisturizer. But a lot of what you all recommend at Derm Center, we can get at like CVS and Walgreens.
You can. In fact, there are so many good products that you can get at the pharmacy. Not necessarily, the high-end products like
course.
Sephora and Ulta and whatnot.
Right.
But you can get really, really good products at Walgreens. Now, that being said, having, teens, they don't want to go to Walgreens to get their skincare.
Right.
So what I tell the parents is, okay, trendy skincare is what the kids call it, which are things that they see on social media. There are certain trendy skincare products that honestly are not bad. So if they're going in to buy this trendy skincare at Sephora, let's say,
Right.
there are real specific things that with my girls, I'm like, okay, we're going to go in and these are your options. You can look at these products, you can look at these ingredients, and that's it. So I think a lot of it too is with the parents just
Yes.
saying, no,
Yes.
we're not going to buy you 20 things to put on your face that ultimately is going to end with you having either a rash or worsening your acne.
Correct. Because I think that's what we have to remember, even for ourselves in our skincare, is like, just because it seems like beautiful packaging and it's expensive at Sephora
Yes.
does not mean it's good for you.
100%.
There's a lot of crap in those stores.
There is probably more crap than there is good stuff,
Yeah.
if I have to be
Yeah.
honest. So that kind of goes back to the pharmacy stuff. A lot of the pharmacy products that are great are, at least good foundations to build upon.
Correct.
The
Yeah.
cleanser, the moisturizer, the sunscreen,
Yes.
those things we talked about, all things that you can get at Walgreens.
Yeah.
And then if your kids want to build upon that foundation, that's where the products at Sephora can kind of come in. Where
Right.
it's like, let's get this good foundation laid. And then if you feel like you want to or need to add things to it,
Yeah.
then you can go in The Ordinary, for example, the product line The Ordinary. They carry it at Target. They carry it at Sephora, Ulta. That is a really good product line.
That's
so
awesome.
that's one that I sort
Yeah.
of direct my kids to. I'm
Yeah.
like, if you want a serum, which at
Gosh.
11, 12, 13, 14,
Do
you don't need a serum, but if you have to have it, then that's a good one. So
And also, like, kind of celebrating for your girls, like, okay, kind of cute that they're into a serum,
I mean, right.
Hey, if you're gonna do a skincare routine, I'm happy,
Right.
That's
for
awesome.
sure.
That's
And both
so-
of my girls, I have to say, are hardcore into skincare
Junkies.
stuff.
How
They
cute.
love it.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, the amount of things on they each have a little dressing table in their bedrooms full
how
of stuff.
sweet.
However, I will say, a lot of it I do just get at work. So it's not like
Yeah,
we're going
of
out and buying a lot.
course.
But also, they're products that I know are good for their skin
Yes.
that, I tell them, start with this, give it a try. You've got to give products 12 weeks to work. So you
Yeah.
can't be bouncing around to different things.
Yeah.
But, keeping things very basic too for their skin is so
Yeah.
important because they have such young, healthy skin already, and their skin barrier, you want to maintain it.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so how do we navigate what's good and what's bad? Like, are there a couple buzzwords we need to be looking at the back of the bottle to avoid? Or is there an app we can use to like help us navigate this?
Apps are hard because there's so many, and you start going down the road of clean products and chemicals, and it gets to be a lot. And I think also to a lot of that is very marketing based. Every product is going to have a chemical in
Yeah.
it, so chemicals exist in everything that you use.
Yes.
But if you're trying to maintain a healthy skincare routine, so let's talk about sunscreen, for example.
Okay.
So if you're wanting to get a healthy sunscreen or a safe sunscreen, I lean toward mineral-based sunscreens. So products that are titanium dioxide, zinc oxide, these are naturally found ingredients from the earth. So if you want a natural sunscreen, that is a great thing to look for on the back of a sunscreen bottle. So mineral sunscreens, broad spectrum, it means it's UVA and UV protectant. It's protecting from skin cancer, but it's also preserving your skin and keeping you from aging. So those are things that you want to be looking for on your products that you use. So broad spectrum, UVA, UVB protectant. mineral-based products.
Okay,
I
amazing.
love mineral-tinted sunscreens even. It's an excellent alternative, especially during the summer when you're at
Totally.
the pool or at the beach and you want some kind of coverage on your skin without heavy makeup. So I love a mineral-tinted sunscreen.
Because isn't mineral, the one downside is it can kind of have that white hue.
Yes.
So maybe it tinted offsets that a little bit?
It does. Now, I will say a lot of the mineral sunscreens have improved so much.
Okay, nice.
So they have invisible mineral sunscreens now,
Okay.
which are great. CeraVe actually just came out with one, I guess, gosh, I think it just came out like within the past month.
How nice.
And it is phenomenal.
Okay,
Like,
going to get that.
it is a really great product, and it looks different from the rest of their branding. So it's a bright yellow bottle,
Cute,
so it stands
okay.
out. Kind of looks like Super Goop.
I was going to
brand.
say it sounds like that.
Yeah, it's really cute, but it's a really, really great mineral sunscreen. Does not have the white cast. Color Science is also another brand that I love. I can talk
Okay.
about brands like
Okay. No, I
for
love
hours.
it. I love it.
But Color Science is great. They have the powder sunscreens, which I
Yes,
love.
I've used
Also,
that.
their minerals.
yes.
So you want to look for mineral-based products
Okay.
if you're trying to go with a more clean direction.
Yeah.
Non-comedogenic products, especially for young patients, acne sufferers, that's a really important word to look for on your products. So if a product is non-comedogenic, it means that there's nothing in the product that's going to create comedones, which is a fancy word for acne, basically.
Clogging your pores.
Clogging your
Yeah.
pores, exactly. So you want to look for that non-comedogenic word on the label.
Okay.
A lot of people will say, oh, well, this is a reputable brand. I assume it's non-comedogenic. But if it doesn't say it, it's not.
Wow.
Yes, it
'Cause
should
I bet
be
that is
printed.
a definitely extra step that the skincare
Yes.
companies have to take to make it that.
Yes. So it should say it on the label, easy to read.
Okay.
Usually on the front of the label at that.
Okay.
Same for makeup. Makeup should be non-comedogenic.
Yeah.
I love Bare Minerals. That's what I wear and what I
Yeah.
recommend. I love Neutrogena makeup. In fact, they have a skin clearing makeup that I love for young patients that want to
Okay.
cover their acne but not clog the pores.
Okay.
Has salicylic acid in it, which is phenomenal. So I love
Good
that
to
product. Yep.
know. Okay. Wow. What
Yep.
a wealth of knowledge. I love
I'm
it.
telling you, I could talk about skincare products
I love it.
for hours.
Okay, so sunscreen specifically, a few other things. Minimum SPF we should be putting on in the morning is what?
30.
30.
30 or greater.
Okay.
Yes.
When it gets greater, how does this work?
Yeah.
So it's like the more, like say if I put on, so like I, for some reason, I have two different like tinted moisturizers that I love that have SPF. And I think they're both 30s, and I put them both on. for
Doesn't
some
make it
reason.
60.
It doesn't make it 60.
It does not. Nope.
Okay.
It's still 30.
So we can't stack. Okay.
No. But that's honestly a really good question
Okay.
because you would think that it would work that way,
I
but
know.
it does not.
I've honestly just wondered. I'm like,
Yeah.
because I knew I was at least getting 30, but I'm like, wonder if I'm getting 60.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, still just 30.
Okay.
But 30 is great. I
Okay.
mean, 30 is what you're shooting for.
Yeah.
What we see is that between a 50 SPF and a 30 SPF, there is a large difference between those two in terms of how well it's actually protecting your skin.
Okay.
From a 30 to a 45 or to a 50 or a 75, 100, there's a very small difference between
Okay.
how well that increase in SPF is protecting your skin.
Wait, so from a 0 to 30 is a bit,
0 to 30,
Is the
it's
big
not
difference.
protecting well. Right. So there's a big
Gotcha.
difference in how well it's
but
protecting.
30 to 50, it's a
Very
minimal
small.
change. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's why we say 30 or greater every 90 minutes.
Awesome.
Every 90 minutes, you should reapply your sunscreen.
Y'all.
I know, right? That's, I think,
Whoa.
in today's time, people I think are so good now, for the most part, of putting on the sunscreen.
The
reapplying it.
reapplication.
It's a challenge.
Because isn't it like the stat of like the most sun exposure we're getting is kind of driving in the car? Like we're not thinking
Yeah.
about it. Not the most, but like one of the
A
ways
lot.
you just don't think you're even getting it. It's just like
Left-sided, yes.
Yeah. Where if you're driving around or like I have like the big old moon roof and it's
Right.
like love to have it open, but I am
Think about your
thinking,
part in that instance. But yes, left-sided skin cancer, without a doubt, is a thing.
That's nuts.
Patients that we see in the office that are police officers or sales, anyone who's in their car for extended durations, we see a difference on that left side compared to the right.
Wow.
Left arm from out the window. Yes.
Oh
So
my gosh.
being diligent. That's why it's important in the mornings to just make it a part of your morning routine.
Yeah.
But if you know you're going to have that extended sun, even if it's
Yes.
indirect through a window, just being mindful of putting on that sunscreen. Yes.
You know, you talked about the powder sunscreen. I feel like that might be a good way to reapply throughout the day, is to be able to just do like a brush on. I need to get into that. Okay.
I love the powder because, I mean, most of us throughout the day, most women have on makeup, and
we're not going to like rub sunscreen all over our face.
I'll be honest. Yeah. I'm not going to do that.
Is that what you do, the powder?
I do. So I love the liquid for the base.
Yes.
And then the powder for the reapplications.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Same kind of concept with the sprays. Sunscreen sprays, I talk a lot with patients about, should you or shouldn't you use a spray? I mean, is it going to cover as well as a lotion? No, it does not.
Okay.
And if you're going to use a spray, you need to rub it in. So it's not
Okay.
just a and done. Like, you've got to spray it and rub it in.
Okay.
So the thing about the spray, I would be lying if I said we didn't use it at home, just
Yeah.
because it's easy.
Well,
and it's
especially with little
quick.
kids, I'm like,
You've got to just get it on,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
But I would always say do a base coat of the lotion and then the reapplications with the sprays and rubbing it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. 90 minutes. Got it. After this, I need to go reapply. No, I'm just kidding.
And expirations. That's important to check on
Yeah.
sunscreen.
That's true, because you
Very
get it
few
back out
people.
from last summer.
Right? And most people aren't going through sunscreen probably the way
No.
at our house we
They
do.
should.
But
Yeah, exactly.
Checking the expiration's important.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's pivot to business ownership. You obviously run a really successful practice, beautiful office, awesome team. Tell me about kind of the split between business ownership and practitioner. Like, you know, your patient
Yes.
focus versus your practice focus.
Yeah.
That's just such a big jump. And I know that's such a split. So talk to me a little about how you navigate that.
Yes. So it's an interesting challenge because, I mean, it's one thing to own a business and run a business, and you're looking at reports and data constantly trying to figure out new, better, efficient ways. But then also, too, there is the patient care part of what I do. And I mean, I've never been asked this question, honestly. This is a really good question to ask because that is really a challenge. I'm not going to lie. It's really hard to try to give 100% of yourself to multiple directions.
In both arenas.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I've had to do is I have carved out time throughout my work week, which my work week basically is a 7-day work week.
Yeah, I bet.
But I carve out time where I really am able to sit quietly and focus on the things that I need to focus on as it pertains to business operation. I really am very big on, I schedule meetings with our staff. We have routine meetings, management meetings. We have routine, sort of sub meetings where it's, clinical based and then business based. So we have a lot of meetings, which I know people don't love, but
it's necessary.
It is.
Just for your systems and your check-ins and
communication, if nothing else, just to check in and be like, are we where we need to be?
Right.
And it can be a quick, yes, we are.
Yes.
Good, we're done.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of time that we carve out for that. So my actual time with patients, my patient schedule, I have been fortunate to be able to sort of scale back on that a little bit. And I have specific days that are set for clinic and for procedures and surgeries, but then I also have carved out time that I use for business operation.
Have you ever considered like being a part of a bigger like umbrella company or something like that so you don't have to do all those? I mean, I just can imagine that's, and I feel like that's sometimes a common practice. What was your initial thought or motivation for being like independently owned and operated?
So yes, I have considered
I'm
the
sure.
thought of that because, I mean, I would be lying if I said there weren't times where I'm like, man, it would just be so much easier to work for someone again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, those days are very few and far between. And it's the good days where I'm like, this is what keeps me going. This is what is driving us forward. And this is what is helping us to maintain the mission of what we're trying to implement, which our mission at the Derm Center is very patient focused. And I know every medical practice would probably say that, but I mean it to my core when I say it. I mean, the patient is at the center of every decision that's made. If it's not serving the patient, we don't do it.
Wow.
If there's an employee who's not there serving the patient, they can go.
Wow.
And it is tough having that sort of mentality sometimes, and it's a culture that I think in medicine is not always present.
No.
And I think that it gets really easy to get distracted by other things in a medical office and start losing sight of the patient and the patient experience. So us having the mentality of, okay, we're going to keep our schedules to a certain number every day.
Wow.
And we're not exceeding it. We're going to keep our work hours to a certain time period, and we're not going to exceed it because we want to be able to have the time in every patient visit that the patients deserve,
That's so awesome.
as opposed to having 4 minutes to spend with the patient to walk in, get the information that you need, make a diagnosis, formulate a treatment plan, and send them out.
Totally.
That's not the kind of practice that I wanted to have.
It really isn't the kind of practice you have, in prior situations, even non-dermatology, but even in prior dermatology appointments, it's like you spend more time most of the time with the nurse.
You
with
do.
that person comes in, they do all the triage, and so basically the doctor just already knows what they need to know, that little sliver, they come in, they check the box, they walk out.
You're right.
At Derm Center, I will say that's not the case. I see
Yes.
my practitioner for way longer than I see the nurse. I mean, it's like, but it's nice, they're both in there, whatever. But I think that really resonates what you said. Like you don't run your office in the way that maybe a lot of typical physician offices.
In a past life professionally, it was not that way for me. And it was an environment that I knew I did not want to continue long term because aside from the fact it doesn't serve the patient, it wasn't serving me either.
Right.
And it wasn't the kind of day that I could go home at the end of the day and still feel like I had more to give.
Right.
And when you have a family, I need to leave work and still be able to give to my family too.
So true.
Right.
You're
So
so true.
having-
You're still a mom. You're still a wife.
That's right.
You're still a person
sister, a
with
friend,
needs.
a daughter.
Exactly.
There are so many, as working women, there are
Yes.
so many areas that we serve, and we're happy to serve. But figuring out how do we serve them all at the same time is a challenge,
and do it well.
right?
We talked about something before we started filming that I want to touch on, and that's like what you go back to in decision making.
Yes.
I want you to speak to that a little bit.
Yes. So when I started the Derm Center, when I started really the concept and the ideas behind the Derm Center, it was at a time where I was really, feeling like I needed to push myself again. I needed to find my motivation. I needed to make a change. And I never really set out to be an entrepreneur. I didn't go to school to be a business owner. I went to school because I wanted to be a provider. I wanted to care for patients. And the process of starting the Derm Center was such an overwhelming push. There were things that I felt like would be such roadblocks for me, and they just were not. And it was such truly an undeniable direction and path that was being carved out.
Wow.
That it was just one of those things where it was like, I could try to dig my heels in and stop this process, and I don't think I could.
But it would be harder to do that than to just get on board. Like that's
Yes.
how overwhelming the call was.
There is no question. So, and even to this day, sitting here,
Wow.
anytime that there are moments where I think, gosh, this is a really hard stretch right now, or this is a really hard thing, or something that we're trying to figure out, I kid you not, it consistently just works itself out because it
Wow.
is such an undeniable path that I feel like has been carved out. It makes me emotional.
Wow. That is so awesome. And like what a cool thing that you have to always come back to in comparison when we're approached with opportunities or ideas or, we were
Yes.
talking about as entrepreneurial spirits. Of course, we're going to have good ideas. Of course, there's going to be things that come that seem fun or we want to try and explore. If you have what you have to come back to compare it to, but do I feel that undeniable calling to go chase
sure.
this? Then you need to pause. Unless you have that, you can kind of go back to, I remember that feeling and how overwhelming it was. So if it's not that, maybe I just really consider
Yes.
it before I proceed.
And that was
Yeah.
exactly what we were talking about before
That's
the podcast.
so
That
cool.
is truly my benchmark.
That's so
And it
cool.
has helped me so much in decision making
Yeah.
for big decisions. It
Yeah.
helps me to know, is this the right direction?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have that feeling? No, then it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I do have that feeling, it's like, okay, I trust that feeling. I trust my
Yeah.
gut feeling on it.
Yeah.
And, that truly has become my benchmark that I measure everything by.
Wow. That is
Yes.
so nuts. Are you a woman of faith?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I can tell just like that deep calling and, that really trust and just what is being carved out. I think that's
Yes.
really beautiful and that's really cool. You've leaned into that.
It has evolved even more so in business ownership.
I can imagine.
It truly has.
I mean, it's a different type of faith and trust you have to take the leap. And I get
Yes.
that. Yeah.
You do. And I mean, like I was telling you before we started, I'm not a risk taker. I don't take risk. I like to take the safe choice,
Yeah.
and I like to, really process decisions.
Yeah.
Probably
You're an analytical
over-processed.
mind, yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
I literally will kill an idea in my brain before I even voice it. But, at the same time, it has been very much a blessing to be able to go the direction that we've gone in, but even more so a blessing to be able to serve our patients in the way
Yeah.
that we're serving.
Man, that's so awesome, Emily.
Yes.
That's so awesome. Okay, fun little game before we take it home here.
I love games.
Okay, so quick, punchy. I just want you to really easy tell me myth or truth.
Ooh, okay.
You don't need sunscreen on cloudy days or when you're inside.
Myth.
Myth.
Cloudy days, you still need sunscreen. And going back to my Accutane for a minute, when I took Accutane, was outside on a cloudy day, no sunscreen, because, this was before I worked in derm, got a sunburn. So cloudy days, yes, sunscreen.
Okay. Cloudy days, y'all. Higher SPF means you're covered all day.
False.
Yeah, myth for sure. We already covered that. Okay, if you don't burn, you're fine.
False. You still get cellular damage.
Yikes.
Even the darkest skin types get cellular damage.
Oof.
Yes.
Okay.
They maybe don't burn, but they're still getting damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kids don't need skincare routines.
They do.
Yep. We already covered that. Okay, and then more products equal better results.
Absolutely a myth. Absolutely a myth.
How many steps are in your skincare routine? Just
Mine
curious.
is so incredibly basic. So
I love that.
It honestly really is. So in the mornings, I wash my face with a cleanser when I'm in the shower. When I get out, I do a hyaluronic acid because I love this stuff so much I could literally ingest it. And then, my vitamin C serum, I mean, I'm not a super compliant patient just in general, so it has to be simple for me.
Yes.
But then I do my vitamin C serum, sunscreen, and then makeup. So that's my
Okay.
morning. Nighttime, I wash my face. I do a retinol most nights of the week, but honestly, if I'm tired, I'll wash my face, I put on my moisturizer, and I go to bed.
Amazing.
But more times than not, I wash my face, I do my retinol, moisturize, and go to bed.
Love
so
it.
it is super, super basic.
So it does not have to be a 20-step skincare
doesn't.
routine to be effective.
It totally does not.
I love
But
that.
I do ancillary things in between. So I
Of
do
course.
the Botox.
Yes.
I mean, I get that.
Of course. And I do
Facials.
love that you all at Derm Center have expanded that offering.
Yes.
Just kind of recently, right? You brought in
A year
aesthetics.
ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
amazing.
So we're doing fillers,
So
Botox,
nice.
microneedling, which I absolutely love microneedling, especially for patients that are wanting to go in the direction of, dabbing into the cosmetic stuff, but not
Yep.
fully jumping in.
Yep.
You're triggering your body to do what it already knows how to do, which is build
Yes.
collagen. So I love microneedling.
And I do feel like at a dermatology office, especially for people who are weary to get started in that world, it feels like an even safer and more approachable way to go about it
Yes.
because it is so science informed, so medically informed, like what you all do, how you do it, probably how much you do,
Yeah.
what your
And
recommendations
truly, we're not
are.
trying to push it on patients.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, for patients that are interested in it or that are wanting it, we wanted to be able to provide it.
And you're already at the office getting your skin checks
That's
or
right.
your whatever. It's like
Convenient.
nice kind of one-stop shop.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's so nice.
Yes, so we don't have a huge push with our patients to
Yeah.
do it, but it's there if they want it.
That's so nice.
Yes.
Okay, so for the listener that maybe is a little intimidated by this whole entire dermatology conversation,
Yes.
what do you say to that person? What is the bare minimum we need to be doing for our skin and for our, dermatology needs?
I would tell patients, don't be overwhelmed. Don't be afraid to call and come in to get a skin check. Even if there's nothing wrong that's on your worry list, getting a baseline is important.
Yeah.
Just so that you'll hear some education. We can
Yes.
talk to you and tell you what to even look for, how to do your own skin checks on
Yes.
yourself at home. So I would say come in and have a conversation and let us tell you what you should be looking for and how to best manage maybe your concerns that you do have, but also things to be looking out for.
I love that.
Because skin cancer, while it usually is something, very obvious on the skin, it can be hidden too.
Yeah.
So case in point for yourself.
Yeah.
Knowing
So
how
true.
to look in those hard to see spots and find the hard, hidden spots is important.
And even like coaching anyone that maybe lives with you or is around you a lot of what to look for. Cause you know,
Yeah.
it's like my mom and my husband, like they noticed it a couple times and it would remind me like I do need to go get that
Yeah.
checked. So even just being informed ourselves so that we can, you know, help each other.
It's so important because, like I said, more often than not, when I'm diagnosing a skin cancer on a patient, it is usually something that the patient or a family member of theirs has spotted and pointed out. And then they come in and they're like, what about this place? And we look and it's like, yeah, that needs to come off.
Yeah,
So knowing how to identify those
Yes.
black sheep on your body,
Yes.
it's important.
totally.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, ma'am, this is the final question that we
Okay.
always ask. I need you to fill in the blank. The heart of the Derm Center is.
That's a tough one. There's so many things I want to say. The heart of the Derm Center is our team approach that we truly do have from the top down to serve our patients. That's the heart of it.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that, and I feel that. So proud of you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being here today. You're
Thank
awesome.
you so much for having me. This has been great.